So we're going to talk about some social equity stuff today because, love that for me. Oh, Minnesota. Early mover advantage, how Minnesota's new social equity rules for cannabis businesses are playing out so far. Jessica Jackson looked out over a crowd of could-be recreational cannabis entrepreneurs gathered at Sabanthony Community Center in Minneapolis and asked for a show of hands. How many have experience running a business? How many have been in the low-potency hemp industry but are hoping to move into legal cannabis? Each time, a quarter to a third of those who nearly filled the center's auditorium raised their hands. One query, though, also elicited some nervous laughter. How many have been involved in the legacy market? Legalization speech for the illegal sale of marijuana. All right, it's the black market. Legacy is, we'll get back to that. A few dozen raised their hands, while others might have been unwilling to self-identify as participants in the gray market. Yet those same people, both those who raised their hand and those who were too shy, could have an advantage in the upcoming legalization market. Of the 7 categories that define social equity applicant in the new law, a status that provides benefits including pre-approval of licenses and even early cultivation of cannabis this fall, 4 involve past illegal sales or possession. For example, someone convicted of illegal sales or possession before the new recreational cannabis law was passed can be a social equity applicant. The same is true for someone with a parent, a spouse, or a child who had such a conviction. A pillar of the state's legalization law is to rectify some of the harms caused by prohibition, including inequitable arrest and prosecutions of people of color and over-policing in minority communities. We feel very strongly about the harm repair that is embedded in Minnesota's cannabis law, said Interim Office of Cannabis Management Director Charlene Briner. Too many communities, too many individuals, too many families have been harmed by the war on drugs and by the impact of criminalization. Offering this early mover advantage and centering ourselves in this work is one of the first steps and one of the best steps we can take in Minnesota to begin repairing the harms that have been caused, particularly in communities and families disproportionately impacted, she said. The briefing was intended to explain how the state will verify whether people will be considered social equity applicants. If they qualify, the same applicants can enter into the first license lottery that will be held in the fall. Only social equity applicants will be entered into that lottery, which will award licenses in 9 different categories, from meso businesses that can both cultivate and sell cannabis products to regular retailers, cannabis wholesalers, and cannabis transporters. Because amendments to the state legalization law were approved last month, there is a cap on how many licenses will be granted in most categories. Giving social equity applicants first shot at those licenses is a major advantage. In addition to those seeking to be cannabis cultivators or meso business operators, can begin growing plants sometime this fall in response to legislative changes meant to assure there is some legal supply when stores open sometime in the spring. All other growers will have to wait until the OCM completes the rulemaking process next year. I can't imagine how that could go poorly. How will they know if they qualify? The OCM on Monday turned on a web page that allows applicants to fill out forms and provide documents to have their status verified. Applicants have until 11:59 p.m. on July 10th to complete the forms. Who is eligible? The list is extensive and complicated. Those convicted of sale or possession prior to May 1st, 2023. Those with a close relative convicted of sale or possession prior to May 1st, 2023. Those with a parent or guardian convicted of sale or possession, military veterans, and current members of the National Guard military veterans who lost honorable status due to a cannabis sale or possession incident. Nick Bradley, go get one. Those who worked in farming for at least 3 years on farms with gross sales of between $5,000 and $100,000. Those who lived for the last 5 years in areas with high cannabis law enforcement, poverty rates of 20% or more, high food stamp usage, and those in areas of high level of vulnerability, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Applicants are only required to meet one of the criteria and gain no advantage for meeting multiple categories. While court records and discharge records can be used to prove the conviction and veteran status, proving the last category is more complicated. The OCM has posted an interactive map where applicants can enter an address and find out if they qualify. Because the state does not require residency for licenses, someone in a qualifying area anywhere in the U.S. can gain social equity applicant status. In addition, convictions for sale and possession in other states does count as long as a record can be submitted. Any violent crimes associated with these charges, however, are disqualifying. There are also some quirks. A woman at the workshop said she spent her entire life in a high-poverty neighborhood, but recently moved. She would not qualify if her current address is not in a high-poverty, high-law enforcement neighborhood, she was told by OCM staff. Similarly, a MinPost search of public housing high-rises found several addresses that would not qualify. There is no advantage provided to disabled people, and cannabis dealers who avoided arrest and conviction would not have the court records to prove their status as a social equity applicant. The May 1st, 2023 date is important because the law says convictions must have occurred before the legalization law passed. In addition, changes were made this year to say anyone convicted of sale or possession after possession and use became legal on August 1st, 2023, are not only not allowed to gain social equity status, but are not allowed to have a cannabis license of any type until 5 years has passed. Verification then allows applicants to apply for pre-approved licenses. That application period begins July 24th and ends at 11:59 p.m. on August 12th. After being selected in the lottery, applicants must undergo a series of other examinations to assure that they have plans and procedures in place to operate their business. There is also a new true party of interest test to make sure that the applicants aren't posing as the business owner on behalf of others who don't qualify as social equity applicants. Applicants must show that at least 65% of the financing is from social equity verified applicants. The fall lottery will distribute the following licenses: micro business, 100 meso businesses, 25 cultivator, 13 manufacturer, 6 retailer, 38 wholesaler, 20 transporter, 20 testing facility, 50 delivery services, 10. Someone who wins a license in the pre-approval lottery has 18 months to use it. The OCM can grant one 6-month extension if the applicant has made good faith efforts to open. While there will not be an overall cap for micro businesses, small cultivation, and sales businesses, the first round that allows early cultivation for these licenses does have a cap. The 3 licensees who can begin growing cannabis this fall will not be allowed to do anything else until rules are approved next year. That is, they can begin growing, but they can't sell to customers or begin manufacturing cannabis products. People who entered the social equity license lottery, but who were not selected, can be entered in the next lottery, likely early next year, that will be open to all applicants. I can see a ton of problems happening with this. I do appreciate they're trying to put some protections in to ensure that the applicants are the ones actually owning these businesses. But my God, if I could start growing in the fall and I can't sell it to anyone until the spring at best, there's going to be a lot of really highly degraded cannabis going out in Minnesota's first round. And we'll just see. I'm Jenny Dills for High at 9 News.
Oh, man. This sounds like this is going to be a whole shit show all the way around. And what am I correct? Did I hear this correctly? That if you caught a charge recently or whatnot, then you are ineligible from being able to apply? Yeah,
for 5 years. So that's the whole thing. And actually, you know what? I'm not the most mad at that. I actually appreciate giving preference to the people who did this before it was safe, before it was cool, before it was whatever. Because, I kind of eye roll at people who are like, yeah, I'm a trapper. Okay, only since it became a misdemeanor, dog. Tell me how brave you are again, big boy. Like, it's kind of, I'm old school. I like to see the people who actually took the risk reap the rewards.
I mean, they should have just said since prior to the millennium if they were going to put some 5-year cap on there.
That's true.
They should have just started. They should have said that you have to have been convicted of a crime from prior in the last millennium. That would have, in the last century, that would have made more sense than this 5 years.
I don't know. I think you still could have probably gotten some pretty decent trouble in some places in the last 5 years. In
Minnesota.
Probably. I know you can in Georgia. That's why I got the fuck out of there.
Yep. What do you think about this?
It's just nuts to watch how nuts to watch how these governments try to piece these things together and it makes no sense. And the misidentification with the social equity play, because honestly, like, without naming names, I know so many people got social equity licenses that growing weed for the wrong reasons, not paying their workers great, blowing it up, and that's why they got busted. And so then they qualified for a social equity license, and really they were greedy. And the social equity license folks who were poor and people of color and people actually disproportionately affected by the drug game.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you're some kid from Southern California who had rich parents and moved up to Mendo and had a plane and like run thousands of pounds and flying them all over with your plane and got busted, you really deserve social equity, or are you not already coming from a place of privilege? And so,
well, at least
like
they'd have
Jenny
the
was
real
saying in this
estate.
article,
They'd probably have the real estate
and also,
covered, though.
as Jenny was saying in this article, who were smart enough and or not greedy or some combination lucky thereof to not get busted get nothing.
Right.
And I just think that, like, how is that really providing social equity in a coherent, logical form?
I mean, I think
Why are we constantly looking for weed? Why are we looking for weed to like institute social equity when really what we need is a top to bottom restructuring of the U.S. government and economic system in the world? That's really where we're at.
I agree. I think, you know, with the people who didn't get caught or convicted, like, shout out to you guys.
How would you prove? How would you prove that you? How would you prove that you're eligible if you know what I mean? If you never got caught?
I guess you'd have to be one of those jackasses that likes to take pictures of things you shouldn't take pictures of.
Yeah, but like, but that only goes so far because we didn't have camera phones a long time ago.
No, we didn't. But I mean, I think it's interesting, and I think there's no way to prove it, and that's unfortunate. But if you didn't get caught, then maybe you hopefully still have enough money saved up to get a regular license when those opportunities roll out. I do think it's interesting that 65% of the funding needs to come from the social equity applicant, who probably also has an income cap. I think they probably are going to have to tweak that a little bit, or make other applicants start to incubate these equity cannabis companies, which I think should. Oakland's done a nice job of that. I think that I would like to see more jurisdictions and more states say that, all right, if you want to play in this game, you need to make sure that the equity applicants can play as well. So you have to incubate 1, 2, 3, whatever you have to do.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Very good, Jason.
Yeah.
Great counting, Jason.
Yeah.
All that practice over the weekend is definitely showing off, dude.
Man,
Join us
5
next week
more.
on the High 9 News when Jason counts to 12.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: is even in this, it doesn't say that the state is going to be providing any funding, any incubation for these businesses. They're just going to give you here you go, and then basically what they're really signing you up for is a big tax liability with this.
Heard.
Mm-hmm. It's shameful.
It's shameful. I mean, it's just another. There's a good way to do this, and no one's doing a great job. And I appreciate that's the spirit of the regulators. I would like to, in my optimistic.
Is it really? I think this is
stat-
designed to fail.
Let me cook, dog.
Go ahead.
Thank you. In my optimistic state, I would like to believe that everyone has the best of intentions. Now, I'm a realist, so I understand that that's, hey, no, that's a different policy. But no, I think that they are in a lot of ways going to fail. You're going to give somebody a chance who is an equity applicant who's self-funding to cultivate a bunch of cannabis that's going to go bad. They can't extract it. They can't do anything but cultivate it. You're going to ruin their product, and that's a huge financial hit to take pre-revenue. Like, I think that there are so many short-sighted portions in this plan that, yes, it's going to fail. Maybe it's not intentionally designed to.
It is.
Yeah, no shit. But it's going to. So it's interesting.
Exactly. You can watch the failures of this government and all the others here at High at 9 News as we cover all of these different types of stories every day.